Most creators have no clue this is happening, but these two reels show the biggest content shift we've seen on Instagram in years. It's the reason this one died, and this one right here did over 200,000 views from using just one of these 4 new viral triggers that are blowing creators up in 2026. And here's the wild part. Both are from the same creator who went from totally forgettable content to gaining hundreds of thousands of followers in a year. And it all started with viral trigger number 1, which is the strongest engine to get the Instagram algorithm on your site nowadays. Because in 2026, the algorithm doesn't just push one-off videos anymore as it used to. It's actually pushing whole viewing sessions, which means you want to build repeatable formats that viewers instantly recognize and come back to. Basically, we're in the Netflix era of short-form content now. You don't want people to just watch a single reel. You want them to binge your entire library, right? As long as possible. Now, this is not just true to just get the algorithm on your site, but also mostly to stand out from the sea of endless creators who just look like copycats over and over again, right? So if we go back to the first video on the left right here, it's kind of okay content if you look at it, but it's nothing special, and it certainly is not memorable. It's basically what I call dead content, right? Content you'll forget within 5 seconds. I mean, just think about it yourself. Write down the names of the last 5 creators you watched on Reels and how they looked. You probably can't. Even the ones with 200,000 views, maybe even more than that. But if somebody shows up again and again with a similar format that you recognize, your brain also starts to remember them. Like my favorite creator, for example, Infobren, but it doesn't matter. Basically, you trust these people. And if they hit your needs, you sure do tap on that profile and start to binge.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I'm not a dangerous man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna touch you.
Oh, no.
I'm not gonna harm you in any way.
No.
And this is where the so-called signature series comes in. By the way, I'm planning a full deep dive on how to create your own signature series here on this channel soon. So hit subscribe if you don't want to miss that one. But for now, just know this. Any type of series, right? Whether it's an actual numbered series, part 1, 2, 3, 20, or just a super consistent content pillar is massively getting favored by the algorithm right now. And there's actually 2 things you should do right now to get your views up almost instantly. First of all, there's this new feature called linking reels, and it's basically built for that. Right? Link similar reels to each other and basically force the binging session, because that's how the algorithm works. But don't just say part 2 when you link them together if you didn't create a multi-part series yet. But you want to just get creative and basically put yourself into your viewer's shoes. What would make them want to watch a similar video and then a similar vein? With a call to action. Now, the second thing you need to do, and so many creators I see don't do this, is simply fixing your cover images. Because if I land on your profile and all your videos look the same, or even worse, random, and the covers have nothing to do with the actual content, I basically can't identify your content pillars, and then I'm just gonna bounce, because what am I doing here, right? I wanna see a monkey, which means no binging session for you, which means the algorithm is gonna hate you, especially if a lot of people do that. All right, so that's the foundation, sort of very simple, easy starting fixing tips to get you ahead in 2026. But none of this matters if you don't actually trigger what I call a breakout reel, a breakout video content piece, whatever it means, which basically means reaching a lot of non-followers and getting some traction going. Because as we know, the algorithm can be slow at times to showing your content to the right audience. And this is where viral trigger 2 comes into play, which is what I call trial reels on steroids. Because a lot of creators are still doing this completely the wrong way. You probably heard the old advice, just change your text hook, post a bunch of trial reels, and spam different versions of it. Yeah. That used to work a few months ago, but if you do these now, you're not gonna get any views, especially in your trial reels. Because what you need are, what they say, substantial changes for trial reels, like actually using different hooks, not just different text you see on the screen. Plus, if you actually spam them, like a lot of people actually tell you to, you're gonna get rate limited and even blocked from using trial reels. So don't post 100 every day. Don't even post 20 a day if you want to play it safe. Actually post a maximum of 5 and you're good to go. Now, here's the updated play on making trial reels actually work for you. Every reel you create needs to have 3 completely different hook angles. Not tiny variations, 3 real angles, right? We've talked about this in another video, but honestly, the easiest way to come up with those angles is using my free hook analyzer AI. Basically checks your hooks, you just paste them in there, scores them, and then it spits out fresh, different versions for you that you can just take and just record over again. And suddenly you have 3 trial reels that you can test over the next few weeks. Link is down below, by the way, completely free. But here's the new trick that I don't think anybody's ever talked about before. And my clients have actually been using this for a few months, and some have grown literally hundreds of thousands of followers using just this one tweak. It's what I call trial reels ads, which is basically a trial reel where you talk directly to your ideal audience, to hook them especially, and then get them to watch your other content using certain language, using certain call to actions, talking about binge sessions and all, right? And that thing tells the algorithm exactly who should see your content in the future, and it propels everything. So this whole thing looks something like this. If you're in your 30s and stressed about money and you want to get actual actionable tips that don't tiptoe around the obvious, check out my content. I'm currently breaking down the exact numbers you need to hit in 30 days to stop living paycheck to paycheck. I'll see you. Check my profile out. Literally as simple as that, but this makes people who are in your target audience instantly be like, okay, what is that? Who's that? And then it breaks their sort of objections they have about content that's usually going out. You can introduce your unique angle, and you can actually tell them, oh, right now we're doing this, which is exactly the thing you're looking for, obviously. And again, this tiny new strategy has the potential to change the whole trajectory of your growth curve. And you're going to see people are going to start to come to your profile, and you're going to start to grow, and the whole algorithm starts to spin up, and everything will be beautiful. And then you will send me flowers. There you go. But here's where creators actually mess up quite a bit, because they think, well, great. Now the only thing I need is focus on reels, which is kind of true, but it's totally wrong, because there's a whole part of Instagram that almost nobody's using properly right now. And it's actually one of the biggest gaps, right? And it is basically hidden in plain sight. You guessed it, or not. Carousels, right? Before you're like, what? Carousels? Most creators actually think that carousels are only there for their existing followers. Lots of people talk about this, but right now I'm telling you, my friends, they're secretly pulling insane non-follower reach, being able to break you out and also push all the other algorithm metrics up, your reels algorithm and stuff like this. Now, one thing I've seen a lot with my clients is if your reels are flat and you just can't break out, using the right carousel strategy can totally break you out faster than anything else. And the great thing about this is you're probably already sitting on your carousel content without even realizing it. Because one thing you can actually do is simply take in your reels you already have, take in literally the same content and creating a carousel with it. It's as simple as that. Don't overthink it. So here's actually an example. This carousel I actually posted did 73,000 views and mostly reached non-followers, right? And the content is literally recycled from a reel I made ages ago. But here's the thing. This only works if your carousel is actually built for discovery, and most are not. So if you want your carousels to blow up, you just need to get these two simple principles right to reach a lot of people, to break you out of the algorithm. First of all, obviously, you guessed it, it's the hook. The same principles apply here as with reels, but with one very, very important twist. You don't just want slide 1 to be the hook, as most people do it. You actually want your first 2 or even 3 slides to stand on their own as hooks, right? If somebody sees them, because carousels actually show up multiple times in people's feeds, each time with a different slide. So if slides 1, 2, and 3 can all hook somebody individually, you triple your chances of actually breaking out with this, reaching new people. And honestly, because almost nobody does this right now, you actually 10x your chances of breaking out if you do it like this. That is, again, until people catch up, and they will. So let's just quickly break down to show you how this actually works. First slide obviously is a hook. Your retention graph is the blueprint for your viral post, by the way. Listen, this is also important content. Second slide, this drop right here, that's why you stay stuck. Most creators don't realize this graph literally tells you what to fix to blow up. This is a good second slide, honestly, without patting myself on the shoulder. But just if you see this, you as my audience in your feed as the first slide, you're still gonna understand instantly what this whole thing is about. It's about Instagram analytics. This drop right here, that's why you stay stuck. You instantly understand, oh, this is why I don't have views, right? Same thing with the third slide, a triple hook, if you will. If 60% of viewers leave within the first 3 seconds, it's not the algorithm, it's your hook. Again, sets me up to be like, oh, it's content. This is how the graph looks like for me. I want to know what's going on, and I'm gonna just keep swiping right there. Simple as that. The second thing about getting your carousels out to the open world, it's actually one thing Moziri confirmed, the head of Instagram. It's basically using audio, but the right audio, right? Before you use some weird ass crazy trending audio, because it's not about using trending audio because it's trending, right? But what you want to do is actually pick music that actually matches the vibe of the carousel or the information that you want to get across, right? That alone changes the entire feel. It's not just about the algorithm and trending audio. It's about hijacking psychological principles to kind of get people to feel something and stop and kind of absorb the information the right way. Why? Because session times. The longer people swipe, the better it is. I mean, let's just take a look at this and the difference between these two versions of the same reel. Here's the original. Beautiful. And here would be another one with some trending audio. Let's just put it that way. I guess you get it, right? But here's the thing. Even perfect carousels and perfect reels totally fall flat if people swipe away at the beginning, which brings us to viral trigger number 4. And honestly, this is the one that really separates average creators from people who grow consistently, kind of like the example from before. And for this one, you're gonna need your insights, especially this one right here, your retention graphs and your skip rate. So if we go back to Joe, the creator from before, 900,000 follower Joe, but rewind back 1 year, looking at the first video, I bet the skip rate on this reel was horrible. Why? Because while the idea is actually pretty good, right? And that's what I see with a lot of you who sent me your content in. And this whole thing, essentially even the same concept he's using to now get millions of views, but the execution part is just not there at all. And that tiny gap between idea and execution is exactly what determines whether your content blows up or not. And whether you keep DMing me saying, Dominic, I don't know what to do. I do everything right. You don't, right? So how do you actually do it and how do you fix it? Multiple things. But the most important for you is what I call secondary hooks, which is basically a quick moment, a pattern interrupt. Basically the same principle that we see work with carousels, right? With multiple hooks within the first few seconds, just apply to your reels as well. Who would have guessed that? And this could literally be anything, right? A slight zoom in, a sentence that kind of rehooks people, like. But here's the important thing, text overlay, a different scene, audio that actually changes the mood or whatever it is. So let me just show you this in action actually, because this is really, really important for you to understand that. Let's take a look at this video again from Joe, the same creator from before. And this video actually got 2 million views and 80,000 likes, quite a bit.
If you want to lose weight or just eat healthier, let me put you on to the most underrated ingredient, rice paper.
And if we break down just the cuts right there, in the first 3 seconds, he's literally using 7 cuts, aka 7 secondary hooks. And if we take a look at the whole 40-second video, it's just 40 seconds, it's not that long. There's more than 30 secondary hooks or pattern interrupts. Insane if you think about it, if you see that in front of you right there. Now, it's really important that you understand that this is not blindly just stacking cuts or interruption things, retention editing style basically, but you want to intentionally place these things to let the video even breathe in the perfect way, right? Because you can't just stack rocket explosions on top of each other. People would also skip because that overloads their brain. And looking at this video in particular, we can see basically a masterclass in itself about this whole thing, about pacing and essentially keeping your skip rate as low as possible and your retention rate as high as possible, aka the thing the algorithm loves more than anything else. Because if we look at the beginning again, we can see lots of stacked cuts, right? Nice visuals. If we listen to a voiceover that actually speaks to your audience, if you want to lose weight, blah, blah, blah. And then once we kind of establish what's going on, once we hack the retention of the brain, he starts to breathe a little bit. And there's not a single cut for 7 seconds, right? 7 cuts at the beginning, not a single one right afterwards for 7 seconds. There are some small, very little elements like slight zoom ins and text, but it's giving a lot more breathing room and it's actually doing the right thing. It lets the brain breathe a little bit and understand, take in the information of the rocket ship at the beginning, right? And point being, pacing and structuring this whole thing is way more important than randomly adding elements. So you want to understand, what is the point that you want to get across? What does your audience feel like? Are they crazy people who are just jumping around all day long? Then you might want to think of stacking up more. Or are they actual humans who need to think a little bit? So intentionally place cuts and elements and play around with the pacing. Now, here's the thing. If your opening line sets up your video the wrong way, which I see a lot of people actually do, no secondary hook and perfect pacing can save this whole thing. So if you want to know exactly how to create the perfect hook for your next reel using real examples, watch this video next.